Hello and welcome to another video from Betfair Trading Community.com. Today I'm going to teach you about liquidity, and not just teach you about what it is. I'm going to talk about the theory, I'm going to do some training on it, and I'm also going to give you some real life examples to look at and show you how you can actually use software to use liquidity in your Betfair trading strategy. So liquidity itself, it's kind of a little bit of a loose term. And there's a couple of ways people look at liquidity in Betfair trading. There's kind of two schools of thought. One is that you're looking at how many traders are in the market, how much money is actually in the market ready to be backed and laid. Another one is looking at how much money has already been matched on the market to see how popular it is. And another way of looking at it is to look at the prices and look if there's any gaps, which I actually think is quite a relevant way of looking at it as a Betfair trader, because when you're entering a market and there's gaps in the market, and I'll explain what that is if you don't know in a bit, you will actually realize this is actually a key element to trading, figuring out whether you want to enter this market or how to play this market, because there are different ways to do that. But high liquidity essentially is when there's a lot of money being traded on the market. So think Premier League match, let's say Man United are playing Chelsea, where you probably by the end of the match you're going to end up with millions of pounds matched on the match odds market. However, if you look at a smaller event, let's say, just looking here on Betfair now, let's say Chelsea women against Paris women, I'll get that one up for you. You can see here, there's only been £1,000 matched, which actually isn't awful liquidity, but obviously not great if it's something that really affects your style of trading. So like I say, we want to look for high liquidity markets in general, although if you know what you're doing, low liquidity markets can actually be quite beneficial and you can do well from them. But you do have to be very careful as a trader. And as a beginning trader, I think going into low liquidity markets can be a bit of a disaster. I've often seen people who have a strategy and they might even have a good selection that day, but they end up backing at bad odds because they see there's low liquidity and they don't understand how they can improve that or how they can do better with the liquidity. So that's why it's so important to discover and understand what liquidity is. Here's the reason it's essential: entry and exit speed. If I'm trading this match here, right, let's say I want to back Paris FC at 22, right? Well, if Paris FC score, how much is the price going to come in? It's going to come in, but how much am I going to be able to lay it off at a good price? Because you can see here, and I'll just bring this up, there's a gap here, 22, between the odds of 22 and 28, the decimal odds, if you want it in fraction, 21 to 1 or 27 to 1. There's quite a gap there, right? There's a 6 to 1 gap essentially in those odds. So let's say they score early, right? And Chelsea are still expected to come back and people still don't think they're going to win. Their odds might go into, say, 7.0, something like that, maybe 8.0, right, in reality. But if there's a 6-point gap, let's imagine here that the actual odds you're able to lay at are then 14 instead. And you go, okay, let's say you put 100 on here, right? Now let's go down to, and then let's say you get 8.0 if there's a goal, right? And you go, well, I'm going to get in a situation, I'm in a good position. Okay, you can see here, if you lay at 8, you make 1,400 quid if Paris FC hold on to win. Okay, let's not worry about greening that up. You can obviously do that in play if you need to. But imagine there's still that gap between the odds, and actually the odds you have to lay out are 14. Suddenly it's only 800. Now, this is quite a big stakes example, but imagine you're just using £10, right? And suddenly you've got a difference between 80 quid profit, and if you're getting the true odds you should be, £140 profit. That's a massive difference, okay? And that is just a little example of why a gap in the market can make such a big difference. So your entry and exit speed are really going to matter, because if you're sitting around going, well, I know this 14 isn't a good price, I should wait till the odds align themselves or the market gets more liquid, there might be another goal. And if Chelsea equalise, well, your trade's done. You're not going to be able to take a profit. You might even have to take a scratch because your strategy might have been, oh, well, I thought they were going to get the first goal, the early goal, and you don't want to stay in at that point. So that's just something to think about with entry and exit speed. The other thing to look at is how jumpy odds will be. Okay, so odds can be all over the place in a market like this. Now, if I was going to back Paris FC, because this is a really good example, if I was going to back Paris FC, one of the mistakes I've seen a lot of traders make is they go, yeah, I really like Paris FC. I think 22 is good value. I'm going to back them. They come here and they ignore the gap and they just go, okay, I'm going to back at odds of 22, right? Because it's available. Okay, it's £9 available. Maybe I just use a £9 stake to start with. Maybe you want to up that as the price comes back and you maybe get that 22 again. But something I've had a lot of success with is actually getting in at higher odds, where if there's a gap, why not offer a price? You know, you could offer 27 here and you might get matched. You will be next in line. So if let's say I do that now, right? So I place this bet for 27, right? You can see I'm now next in line. That is the next bet to be matched. If someone wants to lay and they want to take the price available, they're going to have to do that right now. Just cancel that because they don't want it matched. I haven't even looked at whether that's value or not today. But you see what I mean? You can ask for a price. Now, often these will get matched. If I maybe put in 23, 24, this would probably get matched. Sometimes they're instantly matched, but they nearly are. Should we just do that? Let's see if we can do that for minimum stake then. Just for a good demo of this. Let's see how high can we go. Let's start on... I'd probably split the gap to start with. But let's say you were in the market and you went, right, I want to get matched now. I'm going to work or whatever and I'm coming back for this game tonight. I want to get matched right now. You might give a price that's in between. Now let's see if this works. I'm not sure if this will work. It is such a low liquidity market, but these things do sometimes work. Okay, so that one hasn't been matched. So let's see. So the next step you want to do is just go, well, we'll just put it down one. Let's see if it gets matched here. And it hasn't been, and pretty much guarantee for my example it's not going to work, is it? But if you have seen some of mine, well, there you go. So I put 23 in and it got instantly matched. Now 23 wasn't available, so someone's got a bot there ready to snipe that and say, okay, this price, if anyone puts 23 out there, I'm going to take it. Now you see, I've already got one tick better than I would have done if I'd just taken the price available. And it was easy to do, right? So again, split that gap, try and get it up as high as you can. Don't necessarily only take one tick. I don't even think this is a particularly good example of me doing that. But notice that if you were going to take 22, I've got a better price. And that makes a massive difference over the long term of your trading. And again, this is a mistake I've seen so many traders make over time with liquidity. I'm just going to take a loss on that one. Oh, ouch, that 18p. It's not good. But here's the thing, right? That's a really good example where you can do that and you can back at better odds, and it's very simple to do. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is profit potential. So there is a situation where, because you can ask for better odds, you can get good situations. The argument with low liquidity markets being good value is that if you're betting on low liquidity markets, it means that you'll control kind of what price you want to take. You don't have to take the price available. You can ask for a better price. Let's go find a match where the liquidity is pretty solid, and I'll show you why that makes a difference. So let's go to this Palmeiras match. Now, as you can see here, this market is very liquid, 100%, 0.9% overround, so overround very close to 100%. There's only one tick between the back and the lays, apart from here where it's actually technically two ticks, but still, odds are very close. Now, if I want to lay Palmeiras, I can't really ask for a higher price because I'm probably not going to get laid. That sounds bad, doesn't it? I'm probably not going to get the price I want. So you either back in here at 1.39 or you're laying at 1.4. Now you could ask for a different price if you want, but the point is that You don't need to, because the market's very liquid. It's telling you what the odds are right now. Do you think that's value or not? If so, back. If not, don't. Okay? But you don't have that opportunity. I can't just go, well, I'll just put a bet in a couple of ticks above and see if it gets matched. You're probably not going to get matched very quickly doing that. Whereas you saw, I instantly got matched on the other market. That's just something to think about. Again, that's a little bit more advanced strategy, and that's something that I would be looking to do in a more advanced way as my trading develops. If you are brand new to trading, then I wouldn't advise that straight off the bat, but if you're not, then you can. What I then want to go and talk to you about now is how you can use software with your liquidity, because liquidity is essentially the lifeblood of Betfair trading, right? Without enough of it, even your best strategy can struggle, because you simply can't get your money in and out of the market. And the one thing I want to just mention quickly before I go and show you an example of this is, let's say you get to be a high stakes trader, right? But if I want to get on the draw here and I'm like, well, I want to put 100 quid on it, there's only £39 available, right? Now, one way to combat this I've found is that you could just take 39 and leave it, and then the price might come back. Someone might then put a lay in at 5.4 and you can then back again at 5.4. If you've got a bigger stake in a smaller market like this, especially say the Chelsea one, which is even smaller than this, you want to try and put your money in chunks and take it out in chunks. If you just put 200 quid down in an illiquid market, you're likely to drive the price quite a lot. So you drive the price away from what you want and you aren't going to get matched. So that's a little bit of advice. One way of kind of looking at it is, let's say I wanted 5.4, or I wanted odds of 5.5 instead of 5.4. Well, there's already £17 there. Now, if I now go, well, I want 5.5, I'm going to put 200. I'm going to add 200 to the market. Suddenly, you're getting odds of 200 and you're getting money of £217 on this side, and the market's going to think, oh, the draw odds actually need to come in because people are trying to back it. Okay, you will often see that effect, especially on something like horse racing, where if there's a lump of money sitting on one side of the market, it just drives the price down. Okay, something you can take advantage of if you're clever with it and you know what you're doing, but again, something that can become a bit of an issue. And actually, as you can see, all the odds have closed up here to one tick now. They're all between one tick, which is now basically a fully liquid market in a sense. But again, small liquidity. I mean, we're looking on a Wednesday morning in an international break, so there's not going to be huge money on many of these markets. Let's get over to software, because you might want to put in, and what most traders do is they put in a minimum amount of liquidity that they want matched on a market. So we're going to create a filter here, and we are going to look at Betfair, and we're going to look at total, and the total here is total money traded. Okay, so we're going to look at Betfair total money traded, and we're going to look at match odds because that's going to have the most money. And then we want matches where there is at least, let's try 10,000, and let's see if we get it, because again, on a day like this there might not be any. We'll just give this liquidity of 10k traded. Okay, and save the filter. Yeah, I didn't think we'd get much, so let's see if we can get 5,000 here. Add that. Let's remove the 10,000. Let's see if we get that matched. So actually, we found the only game that at the moment has that much match. Now, as you saw, we already saw that on here, and you can see, right? You can see that this is a really good way of finding matches that are liquid. And this updates every. Let's have a look when it last updated. So a couple of hours ago. So that updates every couple of hours. Now, one thing that's cool with this is that I now know, okay, there's a match here where liquidity is pretty decent, and as we saw on the exchange, it's funny that that was actually the only match. I didn't actually plan any of that, believe it or not. This match is liquid. There's only one tick between the outcomes. Okay, so again, if you're a trader and you're like, well, I want at least £5,000 matched, we've set up a filter for that. All we did was we went Betfair, selected Betfair, then we selected total, then we selected match odds traded, and then we selected greater than or equal to, and we put 5,000 into the box and added it. Okay, it's very simple. No need to have two of them though. And that's how you can use it for money traded. So if you're a trader who's like, well, I want matches where there's more money traded than 10 grand, or there's more money than, you might even want higher than that, right? But what it does is it gives you a good base, because you go, well, I know that there's money in this market. Most of you are going to be able to get in on this market in one way or another. And as you get closer to kickoff, another thing to note with liquidity is that a lot of matches end up getting a lot more liquidity towards kickoff. By the time 11 o'clock rolls around tonight, this match is going to have a lot more money matched on it, and it's probably going to have a lot more money in it. And especially when it gets in play and things like that, matches can gain a lot of liquidity. So it's something to be very aware of. It's something to try and understand and have a good notion of, because essentially what you're doing is you're working out if this is a market you want to trade. And that's a big thing about Betfair trading in general. You know, you want to be thinking straight off the bat, is this a market I want to trade? Is this a market that suits my trading? Does it suit my trading style? And I think hopefully this has really given you a good idea, you know, the theory of why liquidity is important, which we talked about already, but I'll talk about it again. Entry and exit speed, you know, being able to get in and out of the market quickly. This match is going to be pretty good for that. Okay, later on, even in play, it's going to be pretty good for that. Price movement, how volatile and jumpy the odds can be. Now in play, the odds generally can be quite jumpy in football. But you can see here that pre-match, there's not going to be a ton of jumpy moving around with the odds, and the odds are fairly well set. And then profit potential, you know, tighter spreads and faster movement mean better trading conditions in general. Like I say, when you get to that advanced level, you might be at a level you can take advantage of those lower liquidity markets, and I quite enjoy them personally. You've probably seen a few of my live trading videos where I've actually gone in on markets without much liquidity. I did a lay the draw one the other day, and I didn't really have any problem getting my money matched or getting my money out at decent prices. So again, that's something just to be a little bit aware of when you're looking at liquidity in itself. Hopefully we've done the training. Hopefully you understand what liquidity is, and hopefully you can, you know, develop a strategy like this where you use the software. And you know, we've seen it in example now, and we've seen it in action, where you can go, well, I want a matches where there's been £5,000 traded. Okay, there you go, and you've got your shortlist for the day. And how easy was that? That's literally one click. I don't have to scroll for every match on Betfair and go, oh, hang on, can you tell me, you know, every game, how much liquidity has it got? Okay, I'll just check here. That one's got 6,000, that one's got 5,000, 4,000. You can look at all those things, but it's much easier when you just have that shortlist presented to you straight off the bat. And that's not a complex strategy. That's not a complex filter. But what it's doing is it's giving you matches that might be in your wheelhouse that day. That's what creating a trading shortlist is all about, essentially. So if you do want to use that software and you're not already a member, obviously go over to betfairtradingcommunity.com. This video is more set towards members and people who are using the software, obviously. And if you are using the software, that's very easy to create, as you have seen. If you would like a copy of this filter, just say 10k. Just say 10k in the comments, and I will send you over the copy of this filter. And then you'll get matches where only 10,000's been matched. Or if you want the one with 5k, which is actually the one I've created now, just say the word 5k and I'll send that over to you as well. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope this has taught you a few things about liquidity. I want to do more content like this, dive a bit deeper into some of the key terms, kind of explain the theory and then train you on it, and then give you some real life examples so that you get a hold of it. I've done it with Lay the Draw now the other day. If you haven't watched that video, I really recommend you go to the channel, Betfair Trading Community on YouTube. Go and watch that video. If you're not subscribed to us, please subscribe. It helps you get notified of those videos, because you are going to miss them if you don't. Because we try and pop up 1 or 2 a week on average. and so we do get quite a lot of content out there, but we think it's really important to train you as hard as we can. Like I say, if you want the strategy, just say 10k. If you want the other strategy, say 5k. I've also got some free strategies, so if you're someone who hasn't had the free strategies that I've given out yet, just say the word free in the comments and I will send those over to you as well. But most importantly, I hope you make some money trading on Betfair. I hope you understand what liquidity is now and how you can take advantage of it, and I hope that you're able to in the next few weeks.